Have you ever just had this feeling that you're constantly not good enough? No matter how much time you put into something, no matter how early you show up, no matter how long you do something, you just constantly feel like you're not good at it. And so that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to talk about the reason that I hated high school. And the reason was when I was in high school, one of the biggest things that I didn't realize was you invalidate yourself by seeking validation from others. And I just didn't realize that I was looking in all of the wrong places for validation, whether that was my parents, whether that was school and grades, whether that was girls, whether that was sports, and I wasn't looking to God for validation. And because of that, I had no direction. I constantly felt lost because the thing is, when you look to school for validation, when you're doing well, you feel amazing about yourself. But the moment you start getting B's or C's or whatever, when you start getting grades that you're not used to, you instantly start to feel like, oh, I'm a failure. I'm letting myself down. I'm letting my parents down, my family down, other people down. And that's the biggest thing with school is that doing IB in high school, my first 2 years went fairly well academically. And because of that, I got used to kind of getting A's and B's, making honor roll, things like that. But then once junior year started and your classes got much harder, and we started having to do more community service and we had more projects and things to do outside of class, my grades started to slip. And because I wasn't used to doing that poorly academically, my confidence started to drop. And so then once my confidence started to drop, I couldn't get that validation from my grades anymore. So I started to kind of withdraw more academically. And so I started to do just the bare minimum to pass, and my grades were nowhere near where they were freshman and sophomore year. And then senior year hit, and it got even worse because once senior year hit, I started thinking about college and how I was just so excited to just graduate from high school and be done with it that I just didn't have the purpose or the desire to push myself to do better in classes. And so that was one of the biggest things that I realized was looking to grades for validation made me feel even more empty once things got more difficult. And because my parents placed such a big emphasis on school and working hard and doing well, I consequently started to feel like by allowing my grades to drop, I was letting my parents down. And so then I started to feel even worse because I also wanted to do well to get that validation from my parents because my parents worked extremely hard to get me into the position that I'm in. And so I felt that by not having good grades, I was disappointing them. And the more that I was hard on myself and beat myself up over this, the less I wanted to work hard to rectify this. And so the other thing was it went from school to then I remember trying out for the basketball team my freshman year. And I tried super hard. I was conditioning, I was doing everything. And I ended up not making the team. And at the same time, even though I was going through a huge growth spurt, so I was, my knees were kind of having problems, and I had what's called, I think it's called Osgood Schlatter, and my knee just from growing and everything. And so, when that didn't happen, I was super hurt because a lot of my friends made the team. And so I wanted to get that validation from being on the basketball team. I wanted people to see me in the hallway and ask if I had a game that day, or see me in the hallway and ask about basketball and how things were going because they knew that I was on the team. And so not making the team and knowing that I wasn't going to get that kind of validation from others really hurt me as well because even though of course I love playing basketball, to me at the time there was something that was so powerful about being able to tell people that you made a team that not everybody makes. It's not like just going to the gym and playing pickup basketball where if you go at any given day or time, you can probably go and, join a team and play with them. And so because of that, it was definitely something that I really fought with to figure out why I felt so poorly. And so then there was that. And so just all of these things starting to stack up really just increased that feeling of dislike and dissatisfaction that I had towards high school. And then it went from that, it went from IB, then it went from basketball. Then it was, okay, well, I want to be popular and I want to get girls. And so, yeah, I was kind of popular in the sense that I knew a fair amount of people, but I felt like I wasn't getting girls, or I felt like I wasn't getting the attention that I felt like I deserved because I felt like, I was a good person. I felt like I treated people well. I felt like I was athletic, I was tall, and I still just couldn't understand why things weren't working for me the way that I had wanted them to. And this was just another prime example of looking towards external sources for validation and not looking to God for validation. Because when I look back on high school with my growth spurt and everything, even when it comes to basketball, it made me realize that there was a reason that it didn't work out. And even though at the time it was hard for me to understand, hindsight's typically 2020, and it's easy for us to look back on it and go, oh, okay, well, the reason it didn't work out with this girl is for this reason. But being in high school, you don't have that hindsight. And so all you know is that, oh, well, this person's really pretty and they don't want me. And so then you start to not want yourself because someone that you want doesn't want you. And so then naturally you start to think, okay, well, maybe there's something wrong with me and maybe I need to fix that in order to make people more attracted to me. And that was one of the reasons that I started to become more dissatisfied with myself because I was trying to figure out what exactly it was that was wrong with me so that I could fix it. But at the same time, I didn't know what to fix. I didn't know, like, okay, well, is it, you know, the way I talk to people? Is it just my physical appearance? Is it the clothes that I'm wearing? And so putting so much emphasis and stress behind all of these things made me even more anxious to talk to girls, or made me even more anxious to take exams because in my head I'd already started to tell myself I'm not good enough anyway. I'm not good enough to get that girl's number. I'm not good enough to do well on this exam. I'm not good enough to play basketball at a high level. And so even playing pickup basketball at the gym, I'd start to get in my head and think, "Oh, I probably shouldn't shoot this because I probably won't make it," or I've already missed two jump shots. So if I take this one, I'm probably going to miss it as well. And so it was this hesitance that I had towards life that at the time I was like, oh, well, this is just the way it is. This is the way it's going to be throughout high school. And looking back on it, I just realized that if I would have put my trust in God, if I would have realized that I don't need other people for validation, I just need God for validation. As long as I'm behaving in a way that God would want me to behave and I'm behaving in a way that brings glory to Him, I don't need to worry about validation from making the basketball team. I don't need to worry about validation from my parents for getting good grades. I don't need to worry about the validation of even like myself from, you know, getting, the girl or whatever. As long as I'm in tune with my faith and I'm in tune with prayer, I'm in tune with God, then ultimately I give myself that validation. And that just would have given me so much more peace going through high school. And the reason I wanted to record this video is so that for anyone who's in high school or even college, for anyone who's worried about validation from the same sources, when you direct your validation and your attention and your focus towards just behaving and doing things that bring glory to God, then you start to realize that you don't need validation from other people. And you start to realize that You want to do well on an exam so that you can acquire that knowledge, so that you can further yourself in your career. And when you get to your career, you'll be in a position where you would have built up the work ethic to then be better at your job, to bring more glory to God, to be able to help more people out. And when you look at whether it's people, wanting to date you, not wanting to date you, when you look to God, you realize that God has everything figured out already. Because I tell my wife all the time that if I would have known that, you know, God was saving her for me, I wouldn't have stressed in high school and college and all of these things. But we think at the time that, oh, I put so much time and effort into making this situation work. Why didn't it work? God must not want that for me. And the thing is, we don't have that vision looking forward to realize that God has something even better planned for us. We don't realize that by going through the phase of life that we're going through, we're going to come out of it a lot stronger. And so for me, having that 2020 hindsight, now I can tell people moving forward that I understand this class isn't your favorite. I understand it's not the most fun thing in the world, but when you put the time in to really master it and to get the hang of it, it'll pay off much more in the long term than it necessarily will in the present. And so I hope you guys found this video helpful. I just wanted to talk about the reason that I hated high school. And it was because I didn't realize by seeking validation from others, I was invalidating myself. I didn't realize that by chasing validation through school, through girls, through popularity, through basketball, I didn't realize that all of these things were truly just making me feel more insecure and more insecure by the day. And so if you guys got value from this video, if you guys stayed for the whole video, I appreciate you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys are in high school or college right now, I definitely love to hear your feedback. So let me know in the comments below. And I'll talk to all of you guys in the next one.